All right, I'm gonna start it. You guys ready? I'm gonna pull this down.
I'm in a meeting.
Welcome. Hope you're having a good day today after commencement ended last on Saturday. My name is Jill New and I'm the Career Programs and Outreach Manager for the Diller Center over here at Golden Gate University. And joining us today is my friend, Angela Brooks from Raytheon Intelligence and Space. And I'll let her introduce herself, give a little background on what she's been doing over there.
Hey Jill, how are you?
Good today.
Good. I'm Angela Brooks. I'm the Military Initiatives Program Manager and also the Common Engineering TA Lead for Raytheon Intelligence and Space. I've been at the company for about a year and I have a background in human resources, in defense contracting, and I was in the Navy for a whopping 5 years.
5 years, 5 months, 15, it all counts, right? It all counts.
It does, yes.
So today we're talking about transitioning to full-time employment. So this is great following the end of spring semester. If you're ending your studies or you're getting really close, we're talking about how do you get ready for that? You've received that job offer, so that's super exciting for you. So now what do? Do you get to sit back and do nothing? How do you prepare? Things like that. So today those are just the basic overviews, and I'll just start asking a few questions and we'll see where we go from here. So Angela, what do you think? What can someone who's received an offer do to best prepare for their new role?
So once somebody receives and accepts their offer, the biggest thing is preparation, in my opinion. Have you heard from your manager? Do you know where you're going the first day? Onboarding is huge. At my company, it involves a drug test, a background check. You have to do some online paperwork. And if you aren't proactive in getting those things done, it may delay your start. And you don't want that to happen. Also, you know, if you're going to a larger company, they may have strict new hire orientation dates. You want to find out when your new hire orientation is, and beyond first day, where do you have to go and what do you need? It's also a good time to have conversations with your family and, you know, get practicing on what your new routine may be if you haven't been working in a few years. And then also, once you do start that job, you know, introduce yourself, put yourself out there and ask questions. I found, you know, I started my job here about a year ago. Everyone's been extremely helpful in showing me what I don't know, because you're going to have to learn a lot. And when you're at work in your new job, if you put that focus in on learning the ins and outs of the company and your role, in the beginning, it'll save you a lot of trouble down the road, I think.
I agree with that. I think if it's been a hot minute since you've had a job, since you went active duty, making sure you know where your social security card is, because you know your social, but maybe you don't know where the card is, and you're going to need that card for that new hire paperwork for your I-9.
Yeah.
So making sure that you know where it is. And if you don't, making sure you've gone to Social Security either online or in person. And right now they're still a little backed up, but asked and got a replacement card to be mailed to where you are. So then you have that card for your I-9 or some other alternative forms of documentation for the I-9. But yeah, ask me how I know, because my spouse had no idea where his Social Security card was after 20-something, almost 20 years of service. And it was like, where is your card? I don't know where my card is. I know his social. He knows his social. Everybody in mom knows his social, but we didn't know where the card was. So I think that's really something important you need to be prepared for. But also, it's just the logistics. So if you're going somewhere in person, where are you going? Who do you need to talk to? What kind of do you at Raytheon Intelligence Space, do y'all have a COVID vaccination policy in place because you're a contractor?
We do. It's part of our application process. So when someone's applying, they'll be asked a few questions. Somebody wrote in the chat that they're bad at remembering names. Sometimes I am as well. When I started here, because we have different lines of business, I always ask customers or my manager, do you have any org charts or briefs that I can read to learn more about our business? And that's been really helpful. And I reference them all the time.
I love that. I sometimes feel like I started here in January, and sometimes I'm like, do we have an org chart for the university? Because I know our team, but after that, that's a great, I need to do that. I'm gonna write it down. Make sure you ask for an org chart so you know who you're talking to. I also tend to peruse the global address book in the email sometimes when I'm trying to remember who that is. Some other things going forward as there's always the financial aspects of transitioning to a full-time job. I think some good conversations to have with human resources have to do with just simple things like asking for the payroll calendar. So then you can better prepare. Do you have any kind of financial tips to get you through from when one funding source ends to the next funding source when you get your first check?
Just budgeting, and, you know, ask up front if you can have a copy of that payroll calendar. We have one at RIS that you can access in our system, but I'm sure someone in HR would be happy to send it over to you. The biggest thing I find, especially with ex-military, and I feel confident saying this because in government contracting, a large population is ex-military. They neglect to look at during the offer stage and then after offer acceptance, their benefits. And you have to put a value on some of the benefits that may not have a value in your paycheck, because it's your total compensation package. I just talked to somebody the other day that didn't realize they had passed on an offer. And when I was looking at both their offers for them, I said, did you realize that this other company you passed on had a 401k match of 18%? Where you went to a company that had 3%. And if you don't have a military retirement check coming in, I think, 401k is something that you want to look at. What is the match? Are there other benefits? Like we get perks, we get a discount at daycares, we get a discount on our Verizon bill, things like that. Beyond looking at health and dental and eye care, does the company have benefits like a health savings account? Where it's a good tax deduction for you, or a dependent care savings account, a legal plan. I signed up for the legal plan so I could have my will drawn up. That's morbid, but I mean, if something else happens, I can call up the legal plan and I get lawyer services for free up to a certain amount of time.
Yeah, those are all the kinds of benefits that you don't think about if you're coming, especially if you're coming right off active duty. But if you're coming off active duty, but you've been a student and you haven't had anything, then those are also other things to think about. So I personally love the dependent savings accounts because that's that pre-tax dollars for dependent care. That's children under 12, but I think some plans can also cover adult dependents. So if you're a caregiver for a parent, or if you're a military caregiver and you need some assistance in that, check those plans out are really important. Flexible spending accounts, you're not allowed to have those when you're on active duty because TRICARE doesn't let you do that. So paying attention to some of the fine print about that, so that you can use those to pay for everything from Tylenol over the counter to chiropractic care that maybe the health insurance plans don't cover, that maybe if you were getting chiropractic care while you were on active duty that was being covered under TRICARE, that would be an expense added that if you might not have been planning for.
I just saw a question come in from the chat from Uzoma. Yeah, we do ask questions about your COVID vaccine status as part of the application process, and many companies do ask those questions.
Yep. So making sure you have your vaccination card ready for those types of things are going to be important for you.
Yeah,
Mine lives in my safe, so I don't lose that card.
That's part of researching the companies you want to work for before you accept an offer. Do they have a policy about that? Every company is different, and some companies allow exceptions.
Right.
Yeah. And then another thing to think about in PTO. I was looking at jobs a few years ago, and one company was going to give me 4 weeks of PTO and another was only going to give me 2 weeks. There's a value to that. Where I'm at right now, I love it because in addition to my PTO, we also get to work a 980 schedule. So I get every other Friday off. So you have to look at everything and not just consider the salary you're being offered.
Right. Sometimes your eyes get big because you're like, ooh, look at that. But then some of the other things aren't equal. So paying attention to that, apples to apples are really important. So we talked a little bit about knowing who to talk to on that first day and knowing where to physically go. What kinds of other first day expectations do you think that someone should have for that getting ready for that first day of full-time employment?
I would say, be prepared because there may be hiccups. Sometimes IT didn't get that order that you need a laptop, or security, if you have a clearance, may not have gotten your clearance crossed over in time. Just give people some grace and, just put your best foot forward and be ready to be able to adapt to different situations. But most of the time, your first day should involve some type of new hire orientation. At some companies, it could just be 2 hours. I think at my company, it's almost a full day of orientation.
I've also been at places with it was a half day, and then the second half was, well, here's your workspace. And I always like to ask about, where do I put my lunch? That's something that I always need to know, because I like to bring something that needs refrigerating. So where can I put my lunch? And I also like to scope my physical space. So I know if there are things that I like to bring that make me feel happy at work, I can have a game plan. And then if you're remote, because I work remote now, and I know you're working remote, kind of things that maybe if you need it. So I know Kelly had talked to me about headphones for me because I can't keep AirPods in my ears. And so if those are things that maybe you need to help you work remotely, knowing who to ask and how to ask are going to be great for you to transition.
Yeah, my company, we have a little on our learning and development platform. You can test to see if you're ergonomically correct and sitting properly.
I love that.
And they could give you advice on how to do different things to make yourself more comfortable. Another thing I would say first day, even before first day, never stop networking. So once you start meeting people, connect with them on LinkedIn, and then connect with more people at your company, because I think LinkedIn's a great tool to continue networking while you are employed, either with external partners, but also your internal peers.
I think that's really important. Networking isn't something you just start and stop because you put down and pick up because you've stopped job searching. It's ongoing. And especially if you like helping people, you never know who you might know that's going to help somebody else. So
For sure.
then, you scratch your back, scratch somebody else's back as you continue to network.
Yeah. Like my company has a great employer referral program. So you may be able to refer someone in the future that you're networking with to come join the company, and many other companies have similar referral programs.
I have a friend, she works for a company, and if you're referred by an internal employee, you're guaranteed a first round interview, which is exciting. So that way, if you have a buddy who's looking for a job, then you do the internal referral and you get at least that far. So, and you can coach them and help them become your work bestie, as my friends say. I need a work bestie. Why don't you come work with me? That's what people will tell me. So, any other specific things about opportunities with Raytheon and what the first day is besides what goes on in your first day orientation?
So with Raytheon, we're huge. We're a large company. So, and we also have different schedules. Some people may be hybrid, others remote. I work remotely, and then there's in-person opportunities. So everybody's first day will look differently. I think it's important also to kind of find a buddy or a mentor, so you can have somebody that you can possibly lean on and befriend with those questions that you have as you're first getting your footing at the company.
That's awesome. I think finding somebody that you can ask questions to that first couple of weeks is great. I know Uzoma had a question about opportunities in Houston. So maybe not just Houston, but where can we look? Where can our students and veterans look for opportunities with you?
They can go to our careers page. Let me put, that's the wrong link. Sorry. It didn't copy in there. Just to let you know, Raytheon is huge. I work for Intelligence in Space, and unless you work for the company, most people probably don't know this, but under the larger Raytheon Technologies, there's 4 divisions, and it's basically 4 small companies. Raytheon Intelligence in Space is who I work for, and our focus is intelligence and space IT engineering and systems. We're based out of Texas and have a large corporate office in Massachusetts. We also have offices in Colorado, California, Largo, Florida, and Forest, Mississippi. Then there's Raytheon Missiles and Defense, and they are mainly in Phoenix or Tucson, Arizona, and Massachusetts. We have Collins Aerospace, and then there is Pratt and Whitney. So when I share this link for the jobs page, you want to read the first 2 sentences of our job advertisement, and you will be able to see which division the position is with. Right now, we just got a new applicant tracking system platform. So if you want to search for remote roles, you want to go into the search bar of our careers page and type in the word remote. And then that will bring you back to all the remote jobs we have available. And on the left-hand side, you can drill down to the business type and role type to see what remote roles we have available.
Awesome. I know also on your veterans page, you have a chat bot that can help point you in the right direction too. So
Yes, we do. And I'll share, my LinkedIn page. When you're networking and you're looking for new roles, I know it's hard, research the company first. I love talking to people and trying to help them. But if you come to a recruiter online on LinkedIn and just say, hey, what do you have? It probably won't get you very far, because I can tell you, I think there's 7,000 jobs on our page. I'm happy if you've applied to something as a veteran to forward your resume on to the hiring manager if you have applied for something. Just make sure when you're looking at applying and doing your resume that it aligns with the required skills in the job requirements, because if you're not hitting those bullet points, your resume is probably not going to get looked at twice.
yeah, that's really important. And I tend to recommend using JobScan to help you with that. But if you're not sure and you're like, well, what did Jill say that time with Raytheon about how do you making sure you have the required things on your resume? You can always reach out to me using dealercenter@ggu.edu. Send an email to me, and I'm happy to double check those things for you as well. So, any other questions we have coming from our Facebook group or here in the chat? Preparation for that first day of work and that first month on the job is really just preparing yourself. It's just like when you were looking for the job, doing your research, reaching out to, if you know your hiring manager's name, you can reach out to them in advance, see who's on the team. If you met other people during the interview process, grabbing their names and reaching out to them in advance and just being like, hey, I'm excited to start Monday, next week, next month, whenever your start date is, and taking a look at your budget. Another tool that I like to share that so you're not surprised when your check does come through, there are some free net salary calculators that will help you be prepared for what that first paycheck might look like take home, because we talked about benefits. Well, those benefits get deducted from your check. So it's not just, oh, hey, you have this benefit for free. Like it's covered, but it comes out of that compensation sometimes. So some of your premiums and things like that. So you can put those in those calculators along with play around with your federal and tax withholding. ADP has one, but I also like.
My favorite is Smart Asset.
That was the one I was about to say. Smart Asset is my second, is the one I really like. The ADP one can get a little confusing, but Smart Asset is a great calculator to kind of help you decide and give yourself a rough estimate on what that net take home pay is going to be. So, because like I said, you get those dollar sign in your eyes, you're like, ooh, that's going to be great. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, what? Wow, let me look at this pay stub and see what's going through.
That's another good tip when you're looking at applying for jobs and you're open to relocation. Look at each state's income tax burden, because that will impact how much you're getting paid. I don't know how many people I've talked to that didn't know that Florida doesn't charge income tax, and there are several other states that you don't have to pay income tax. But at the end of the day, you have to like where you're living. So right.
Don't just move to Florida because you're like, there's no state income tax there. If you do not like being hot, don't move here.
For sure. So if you Google total tax burden in each state, that's really helped us. I'm a military spouse. My husband's looking at retiring, and I created a whole spreadsheet just on taxes, and it taught me a lot.
Wow. I feel unprepared now. Our other question we have is, do veterans, despite having a degree, have a hard time getting a job offer?
No, I don't think. I think in today's day and age, there's actually companies that go out of their way to try and employ veterans, and a lot of companies have their own military recruiting teams, especially in the government contracting world. But even employers like Walmart, Amazon, smaller name companies, it does help if you're a veteran.
Right. I think it's also about selling yourself, which we've talked a little bit about. So if you're not sure if you're doing that well because you're not getting any feedback from some job applications that you've put in, feel free to reach out to me, because I'd love to talk to you about that, to make sure you're selling yourself well, that your digital presence is robust, that the documents you're using to apply for jobs are really letting your skills and your transferable skills shine. So it's not so much about a degree. Degrees and certificates are stepping stones, but I don't think they're requirements. Like, some people can make big leaps, and some people, have great skills. Like, they know how to traverse a river without having to have a stepping stone. So, and there we are. Anything else today? Okay. I appreciate your time today, Angela. And it's always a pleasure to
I
see you.
appreciate it.
And if you have questions, if you want to reach out, Angela did share her LinkedIn account, her LinkedIn with us all. So feel free to, if you've missed it, if you've missed the chat or you're on Facebook, we'll get that shared with you later. And like I said, if you have questions about some of your own job search, you're not sure how your resume is looking, just reach out to us at dillercenter@ggU.edu.